Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Mark Rudram, UK National Sales Manager for NEC. Within this webinar, we'll be looking at the MyCalls Console, which is an application that can work on the SV9100 and the SL2100. We'll be discussing why you should consider using a console, what the key benefits are. We'll be having a deeper look into the MyCalls Console in the PowerPoint prior to going to the live demonstration, because there are several key areas within the console I want to make you familiar with, because it'll make the whole demonstration a little bit easier to understand. We'll conclude with a few takeaways and a recap of the console. So with that said, let's make a start. So why should you consider using a MyCalls Console? Well, you can see the bullet points there in no particular order. Cosmetic reasons, you may be thinking, where are you going with this, Mark? Believe you me, on quite a few occasions I've met customers, whether it be in our office or at their premises, and they're spending a huge amount of money having their offices renovated, or they're actually moving to a new premises, and they're going to have a dedicated receptionist to meet and greet and get people signed in and go through the emergency fire evacuation process and all those nice sort of stuff that receptionists have to do. Okay, but what they don't want is a handset with a whole bank of what we would call DSS consoles, those add-on units with 60 buttons on, because they don't look the best, let's be honest, but they do a very good job. But what they do want is a piece of software that sits on a PC that works alongside a handset and a headset, okay? And that was what MyCalls can actually do. And equally, by giving them a console, we're not taking up a huge estate on their desk. Now, the critical thing about a receptionist, she needs to have, or he needs to have, visibility, not only on the extension side, but also by the line side. And by giving them visibility, they can make a decision on how best to handle that call at that moment in time. So visibility to me is power. I can get the call and the action sorted very, very quickly. So this inevitably will give them faster response times, which has to be good for the image of the company. It has to be better for the customer, and equally for the receptionist, because she's got a lot going on. She's got to deal with the calls, meet and greet, sign the visitors book, make tea and coffee, all those sort of nice things. And within the console as well, we can give the receptionist the ability to have some control. So people phone in and say, oh, I'm working from home today, can you put my calls on forward to me? She doesn't have to run around the office and go to that particular extension. Or within the console, she can right click and call forward the calls for that individual to wherever they may want to go. It could be forwarding the calls, it could be changing the presence to being off sick. Yeah, it could be putting people into a do not disturb mode because they've gone into a meeting and they don't want to be interrupted. The people are going from their original location to a meeting room and have forgot to put the calls on forward. Doesn't matter, because the receptionists have the level of control and more to deal with that. So there's some major benefits there on why you should consider using a console. So let's discuss some of these key benefits in a little bit more depth. Okay, so we've got visibility, control, priority, and inevitably wrap all that, we're going to be a lot more effective and efficient, which is good for everybody. So from a visibility perspective, we can provide the receptionist visibility of all the extensions across the estate. Okay, don't forget 896 extensions that the SV9100 can do. Okay, so I can see when people are on the phone, off the phone, whether it be an incoming call, an outbound call, whether in a call forward to do not disturb. It's visibility that empowers me to deal with that call for that potential individual, and I can see. What I hate is when I phone into a company and the receptionist answers and I say, can I speak to Mr. Johnson please, and they transfer me straight to their voicemail. Now wouldn't that be better to say, Mark, Mr. Johnson's on the phone at the moment, would you like to go to his voicemail, or can somebody else help you? That's a better way of handling the call, in my opinion. But the only way that you can do that is to have that visibility aspect. So from an extension point of view, you can see everything that's going on. And equally, you can see calls that you're dealing with right now, calls that are waiting to be answered, to be dealt with, and also calls that you've already dealt with and now you've transferred them, or you're putting them in park hold, waiting for the extensions that you've transferred them to or parked them for to answer. So yet again, having visibility of what you're actually doing in real time, what's next to be answered and what's happened to those calls that you've already transferred to individuals. Visibility from top to bottom on that incoming call aspect. The ability to put extensions in a different state, so we can give the receptionist control. We can change their presence if you're using presence. We can put them in a call forward to do not disturb. We may want to call forward all the calls to their mobile or to another DDI number or to their voicemail. It doesn't really matter. We have that level of control from a receptionist point of view. No need to leave that receptionist position to go to the Mark's extension because he's phoned and said, can you forward all my calls to my voicemail? And by the receptionist leaving the desk, there's people coming to the building, nobody there to meet and greet them, there's calls that are missing, none of that, because you can do it within the application itself. Call priority is something that you may want to consider for your customers, maybe for your directors, so they always go to the top of the queue. It doesn't mean to say that the receptionist can't answer calls that came in third and fourth and fifth. You can do, but by all giving priority, it's always going to put those people that are waiting to be answered on top. So avoid having to keep scrolling down to make sure that the receptionist has answered the most important calls. Let's assume that the receptionist is taking a call. My wife Louise phones in. It says that in the call waiting, Louise, and the reason it does, because Louise's telephone number's in the speed directory. There's only one person that Louise would talk to in our business, and that's me. Even though the receptionist is talking to a client, she can see Louise's call and she can take it and drag and drop it onto my extension. Okay, and my extension will ring and hopefully I answer it. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So visibility control, call priority inevitably will make you more effective and more efficient. Okay, so prior to going to the live demonstration, I want to pinpoint some areas, because we can get this nailed here and make my life a little bit easier when we get to the live demonstration part. So some of you may be thinking, well, this is looking a little bit familiar. Well, remember, this is MyCalls Console. Well, MyCalls portfolio, we have MyCalls Desktop Lite, we have Desktop, we have MyCalls Manager, we have MyCalls Call Center. It's from the same stable, so you're going to see a lot of similarities, like the call control area here. That's what you get on the MyCalls desktop. So if you've not viewed those videos, not a problem at all. I'm going to go through them in particular from a console perspective. So we've already established that the console user will need a handset, and they can have a headset as well. And this will give them choice on how they want to answer and control the calls. Okay, they can use the phone, okay, and use the software from a visibility point of view. Not a problem at all. They can use these icons here to answer. They could drag and drop the calls if they wanted to do that. They can even use the keyboard on their PC or laptop, which a lot of receptionists would like to do, even though you can answer calls by pointing and clicking, because you have to be right precise in the right areas to do that. But if a call comes in, I can hit the enter key. That will answer the call. I want to transfer it. I hit the enter key again. It puts it on hold. I use the numeric keypad on my keyboard. It dials that extension. Hit the enter key again. I've just done a blind transfer. And the receptionist, as you'd expect, can do all that without actually looking at the keyboard. So I believe the keyboard is a lot quicker than the mouse. But you have choice, which is a great thing. So you can see there some of the icons. I can go and do not disturb, call forward, answer. Some of them are greyed out because there's no activity here at this moment in time. But I can park them, I can barge in, I can do all those sort of things. Moving to the next critical area is the call that is coming in, the calls that are waited, the calls that have already been dealt with but are waiting to be answered or picked up. Okay, so where you actually see dial Marie, that the reason why it says that, incidentally, you can see in the search bar I put MAR, so it's picked up. It thinks I want to dial Marie, so I do apologise. It should be a better slide than that. But normal circumstances, when the there's no calls coming in, this area is the active window, if we call it, is blank. So when a call comes in, there's various ways we can present this into the console automatically. So it automatically goes into this active area, and I can press this little toolbar here to answer it. I could use the handset or my headset, or I could hit the enter key on my laptop or my PC to answer it. Okay, so when other calls are coming in, they will appear in the call waiting. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, you may want to have priority to put those key people to the top. If you don't, if there's a fair number of calls waiting, you will scroll up and down them accordingly and choose if you want to answer a particular call before another call if you want. And that example about my wife phoning in, if she's phoned in third and waiting to be answered, even though the receptionist is dealing with another customer, at the same time she could drag and drop Louise onto my extension. Okay, making it easy. If the calls are being transferred and waiting to be answered, and this is quite critical when you've got two or more console receptionists, because one receptionist may have taken a call and transferred it to an extension and taken another call, but the extension user hasn't answered it, so it's come back to receptionist number 2. She needs to have visibility of where that call's already been to avoid doing the same again and transferring it to potentially somebody that's not there. So we have a bit of a history of where that call's actually been delivered to, which makes life a lot easier. So you can see the calls from top to bottom in this left-hand section. Moving on to the search area. Now, again, you just type in the person's name. You see there I've just put MAR, so it's brought up Marie being the first one. And you can see all the extension numbers that are associated with Marie. And I could just click on one of those. Of course I can, or right click, I could dial them, I go into their voicemail, I can actually see, their email addresses could be there, their presence, so I can see if they're in the office, out the office, and holiday, and all those sort of nice sort of things. Now your eye is probably attracted into the biggest area, which is what we would call the action pages, okay? And you can have 10 of those, and you can name them. You can see this one here is called Dem Room. Then we broke it down into departments, so warehouse, Galway, sales, admin, service, and technicians. So all the members of our business, if you like, within our dem room are there. They're all great at this moment in time. But I can assure you, as you'll see in the live demonstration, as people go off, up, make calls, receive calls, the receptionist gets full visibility of live information. That makes her life a lot easier. I can have buttons that can change features of the telephone system, so I could have a day mode and a night mode. I may have taken a call from a customer that says, I'm on your website right now, and I need to get to the website to try and understand what she's referring to. I don't want to minimize the application. You can see here I have a button that says NEC, so I can click on that and it'll go off to the NEC website. I may have an Excel spreadsheet that's got all the prices on. Yet again, I don't have to close it. I can click on this button here, it will go off and get it for me. So yet again, making it more effective, more efficient, and not allowing me to minimize the application to go off and get Internet Explorer or Chrome or whatever. It's all built in within the application. So if the calls come in on our main number, okay, so it could be for any one of these extensions, okay. So what happens when they phone the Galway telephone number? Okay, very easy, very simplistic when you think about it. The caller's phoning in on the Galway DDI number. If you watch that area now, it will bring the Galway tab to the front. Why? Well, the customer's phoned in on that particular DDI number, and those are all the people within that department that can actually deal with that call. How easy is that? Yeah, super easy. Don't have to mess around. I just listen to the caller. If they want to talk to Sarah, I can see she's available. I can right click, I can blindly transfer, I can supervise transfer. I can do all that within a few clicks, which you're going to see right now in a live demonstration. So here we are in the MyCalls console. Before we get into the depths of what it can actually do, just going to explain some of the other tools that I'm going to use in order to hopefully provide you a good understanding of how the console will work. It is a little bit more difficult because we're actually in lockdown, so I'm working from home. I'm actually live into the demo room, and I'm going to use my IP phone, my desk phone, and a little application that's out of view at this moment in time, in order that I can actually show you on people on the phone, off the phone, and all those sort of nice things. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it will all go to plan. So as we've already mentioned, the left hand side of the console is all to do with the incoming call. Okay, so if a caller's going to come in, which we'll do shortly, we'll come into this area here, the active window. And it allows us obviously to answer the call. Any calls that are waiting after that will be queued here. There are two ways you can actually bring calls into the active window. I think the most popular way is automatic. Okay, so the reception doesn't have to do anything. The call will just pop into that area in order for them to answer them. Okay, or you can have it manually, so you can actually pick out which calls that you want to take. Yeah, again, as I mentioned, it is mainly automatic, to be fair. So let's presume that the person, in fact, let's bring a call in. So I'm using my IP phone into this. You can hear it ringing. Okay, and I'll use my mouse here just to answer the call. Well, a couple of pointers there. I can use a mouse to answer the call. I have to obviously click in this bar here, so I've got to be really precise. Now, having a mouse and being able to do that is fantastic, and drag and drop, but you've got to be absolutely spot on the money of where you want to take them from calls. Most receptionists, I'm being brutally honest here, will want to use their existing keyboard. Okay, so when a call comes in, it will ring in their ear, or handset will ring. They could hit the enter key, they've answered it. They can use the numeric keypad to dial an extension number, hit the enter key again, and to do a supervised transfer. Press the enter key again to do a blind transfer. So you can actually control it by a traditional keyboard. So you can continue to use your Word, your Excel, your emails and all that, and use the same keyboard to operate the operator's console. Okay, so we know that the receptionist is on a call to Mrs. Shiv. The reason why we know that name, incidentally, is because the system has been programmed with their telephone number in it. So yeah, again, very much like your mobile. If I phone your mobile and I'm not in your directory, it will probably just give you a telephone number. Okay, I could obviously withhold it, so you wouldn't know anyway. But if I am stored in your phone, it will come up with Mark's mobile or whatever, and then you can choose to ignore it or whatever you do. Okay, so now if I call in on my mobile phone, we will see that the call will be delivered into the call waiting area. Okay, so there we are now. So it's actually recognised my mobile phone, and if I was to transfer, let's say this call, let's say down to Sarah. So if I just drag and drop it at this point, yeah, so I'm going to complete the supervised transfers, and you can see that the call has remained here. Okay, and I can now, I've been delivered the call automatically for Mark. You can hear it ring in the background because it's not being answered. Okay, so it's back into the call waiting. I'm going to hang up on my mobile phone, and what I want you to look at is this information here. So we know that the call, okay, the call has been potentially transferred. They haven't answered it, and the call's come back to me. So we get a bit of the call history of where that call's actually gone to previously. So let me hang up. Okay. So at any point when the call comes in and it's answered, it's going to be here. Calls waiting are going to be here. Now, as we mentioned before, you can have a priority license that You can put your directors and your key customers in, and they will go to the top of the queue, and you just take them as and when you want. In fact, you know, with the console, you can answer whatever calls you like in what fashion. The receptionist could be on a call. My wife phones in Louise. It's in the speed directory, so the reception knows it's Louise. Louise only speaks to me. She can drag and drop the call onto my extension if that's the way you want to work. Okay. So any calls that have been transferred or held after a met threshold, that can be flashing red, so it highlights to the operator that something needs to happen, and we can present those calls back with a tracking history of where those calls have been originally sent to avoid you doing it again. Okay, and more importantly, if you've got a second or a third or fourth receptionist, somebody may have transferred a call and then take another incoming call, and the original call hasn't been answered, so it comes back to, let's say, reception number 3. She needs to know where that call's actually been to avoid it happening again. So having call history where that call started from is absolutely vital. Okay, now it may have worked a little bit too quick for you, but you can see here I've got the den room tab, warehouse, sales, accounts, admin, service and technician. So I've got all my extensions that are all idle at this point, this moment in time. If I use my ST500 and let me say I'm going to dial extension 200, you're going to see some status there. So let me just dial 200, dial hook. Okay, and you can see that the call's coming in here, so I'm going to answer it. And you can see that obviously I put a button in here in order to show you this. So we can see that the reception and Mark's ST500, this mobile app, are talking. Now, if I was on an outbound call, yeah, it would say outbound call. If I was on an internal call, an incoming call, it will show. Okay, so visibility from that point of view, even though I'm using my phone, it can be an NEC proprietary handset. Even if one of my colleagues set the phone off hook slightly because they want a quiet Wednesday afternoon, it won't say internal, it won't say outbound or inbound because it's not dialed anything. So it will actually say off hook. So then you can start to investigate why that handset has been taken off hook. Maybe because it wants a quiet afternoon. Okay, I'm just going to put the phone down now. Okay, so you can see that we're off hook. Now, if a call came in on our main DDI number, yeah, we may not do anything here. We may just continue to have what we've got in front of us right now. But if somebody phones in on a DDI number, let's say the sales department, we can bring to the front all those people within the sales department. Why? Because that's who the customer wants to talk to. So keep your eye on that tab now. We're on the demo room tab. What should happen is the sales tab should come to the front. So I'm phoning in right now. Okay, and the call's going to get, there we go. We're going to answer the call. Okay. So we've answered the call, all the salespeople tab has come to the front, so I know exactly what I want to do with this call now. I know exactly, who's available because I've seen their status. Okay, so let's take James as an example. I can drag it and drop this call on James, not a problem at all, and want to do that. Let me try that now. I'll put it James. Okay, so it's ringing. It's on hold. I'm going to complete the supervisor's transfer and hang up. So it's now it's waiting to transfer. After a period of time, it will go red to say you need to do something with this operator, and it will flash. Okay, and after a period of time, there we go. It's come back to me. Okay, so how handy is that? So let's keep it there. Let's go on to James. Let me right click on James. Everything I can do with this call right now is there. So I can set up a conference. I can blindly transfer him. So the outside call out will be delivered to James, this extension. Hopefully James will pick up and they're instantly connected. So that could be, a little bit difficult if people want their calls to be announced. That's called a supervised transfer. So the receptionist puts the incoming caller on hold, dials James, says to James, James, I got Boris Johnson for you. Do you want to take the call? James says, yes, please. They hit transfer, boom, and they're connected. Okay, a blind transfer is where the calls come in, it's Boris Johnson, and the receptionist has just transferred it straight to James's phone, and he'll pick up the phone and not have any thought on how he's going to answer it. He doesn't know who he is, so you've got to be careful with that. Okay, we could have transferred the call to James's voicemail, because we may be seeing that James is on a call. Okay, we can do a managed park, so he's parking on a particular port of the system. We do a system park. James could be around the building. I've got a PA system. I can put an announcement out. James, telephone call for you on Park Hold 1. He can go to the nearest handset or go back to his application, or even within the operating console, if he's got one. Press Park Hold 1 and he's got the call, okay? He can send an instant message. He can send an email, a templated email, okay? How good is this? So this incoming caller has said to the receptionist, I don't want to go through to James's voicemail. Can you give him a message to give me a call? Really? Okay, so what we would actually do, we'd go to templated emails, and we've got two options here. We've got one with parcel, which is quite useful at Christmas, because the receptionist has to make everybody aware to remove the parcels out of reception. It's causing a fire hazard, all that. But this is about a call. So if I click please call, okay, just going to minimize that. You can see that it's imported Mr. Shivs' telephone number, yeah, into an email. How good's that? So yet again, making that process a lot easier to get in contact. And I'll just click send, and away it goes. And then that will end up in James's email box. He knows he's got to phone Mrs. Shiv back, and that's the telephone number. Beautiful. Okay, so let's put the phone down. Okay, let's hang up. So even from any type of extension, yeah, if I right click, I can dial them, do not disturb, call forward. James, okay. Now if we go here, let's make it a little bit easier to see. So James is here, and James has phoned in and said, I'm taking a day's holiday. Can you change my presence for me? So yet again, to set presence, right click, is going to go on holiday. He's going to be due back on the 22nd. He's not going to Italy, he's going to, he's having a sofa day, yeah. Okay, click on OK. Everybody that's got the application now will know that James is actually on holiday, okay? And if you hover over it, you can see he's forwarded. The duration is being forwarded. He's forwarded all his calls to his voicemail. I can actually put in there, if it's programmed, sofa day, or he's going on holiday to Italy, or he's going to a meeting in Edison. Yeah. So how good is presence? Now you may not want to have an application such as MyCalls Desktop to do that. We can give you a plugin that works within Outlook. It doesn't provide you presence of the other users, but it allows you to present your presence, if that makes sense. I'm just going to use this other application that's just out of view there to go back to the office state, just to show you. There we go. So Jason's used his own presence to go back into the office state. If I just bring up Outlook here, and hopefully it's going to be in view. I do apologise if it's not. Today's here, so I'm going to click on here. I'm going to make an appointment. So it's going to be, let's say 11, 12 o'clock, yeah, to 12:30. And here in the top right hand side, I've got my presence options. Yet again, exactly the same. I'm going to say I'm going to a meeting. Yeah, I want all my calls forwarded to my voicemail, and I'll be in Murgas. Okay, click on save, as you would do. Yeah, so it saved that meeting in my diary, and as soon as that comes to 12 o'clock, everybody's presence that is using either an Outlook, a MyCalls Desktop or a console will see that presence would have changed, because it will synchronize, which is extremely handy. So that's where you can actually portray your presence to everybody, and you don't want to use the application such as a MyCalls Desktop as an example. Okay, so going back above here, we've got the search area, so we're looking for Mark, and I'll just put M-A-R. You can see I've got Marina and Mark, and if I just put K there, there's all Mark's information, all his telephone numbers associated with him. We want to call him on one of them. I can right click. So yeah, again, making it easy. I could double click on it if I wanted to. I want to call his voicemail. If I click on that area there, it's making an internal call, and you can hear it ring in the background, and I've answered the call, and you can see right now. Okay, so how good's that? Okay, so let me just demonstrate something else to you as well. If a call was to come in on the main number, okay, what we're going to do here, we're going to park the call. Okay, so we're going to answer the call, and we're going to park it. We're going to park it in park hole 1 in orbit 1, and you can hear it bleeping in the background. Okay, and anybody that's got a telephone may have heard a paging call. Please pick up the certain call on park hole 1, and I'm going to use my ST500, and you'll hear it stop ringing now. Okay, it's because if I press the right button, you can see I'm now connecting, and you can see that I'm on an incoming call, and you probably can hear an echo along the way as well. I'm going to put the phone down. Okay, and that's how we deal with it. So that's a whistle top tour. Of course, you can use these icons here to answer the call. You could use the phone, you can use your keyboard to do that. This is all your calls that are waiting to be answered or being transferred, or your extension status. You've got a search bar there. You can drag and drop, you can right click, and you can change things, put people in do not disturb mode within a few clicks. You can change their presence if you wanted to do that. You can change from day and night service. If we go back to the demo one, if somebody phones in and says I'm on your website, we don't ask you to close down your application. We just put a little button in there that is an executable button, if you like, and it goes off and gets the relevant information. When it's a website, a PDF, a Word document, an Excel spreadsheet, it can be whatever you want. It's a shortcut to something that you use on a regular basis. Okay, so hopefully that's helped. It's been extremely difficult with all the types of phones, but I think we've hopefully given you a good idea of what the MyCalls Console can do. So that was MyCalls Console, and before we get into the nitty-gritty, I thought I'd bring this slide up just to reiterate a few things that you may have forgotten, you haven't written down quick enough. The active window is where those calls can come in one at a time, automatically or manually. The calls waiting, those calls that are waiting to be answered. Any calls that have been transferred or parked, waiting for a response, you can actually see go into these two areas. And as I mentioned before, we can put some thresholds in place that can turn to red after 5-10 seconds if the calls are not being answered, to enable us to focus on those areas and potentially get those calls resolved. And don't forget, I can recover those calls if they're not being answered, or they can automatically be represented back into the active window waiting for me to answer. At the bottom we have the under-returned call records and address book. We can manage the call recordings as well if we have all our calls recorded. You can see our status here. So we got David Telford's phone is actually ringing. I've right clicked on extension. You can see I can blind transfer, supervised transfer, all of that. So it's a very, very practical, easy application to use. So key takeaways. First, it's going to decrease the incoming call handling time because I've got that visibility aspect. I can drag and drop, I can use the keyboard, I can use the handset, you choose. Don't forget, I can use the keyboard on the PC or the laptop that the soft phone's installed on. Yet again, that will inevitably help the receptionist, because that's what they use day in and day out. That call priority, yet again, to bring those key people to the front of the queue, not having to keep scrolling down those call waiting areas. That's going to make life a lot easier and more effective for the receptionist. The call control, yet again, those call forwards, do not disturb, presence and things, it's all within a right click when you hover over that particular extension. That search window is going to be very useful if you've got 100 and odd extensions. Enter in the telephone, the person's name, and you'll see them under the search, and you'll see all the extensions that are associated with them. Even clicking into that, you can actually call them. Okay, and of course, like all the MyCalls, we're able to put some call reporting associated with the console. So yes, we can see how many calls you've answered, how many calls you missed, and the average time to answer, and all those sort of things. So that was a whistle-top tour of the MyCalls console. Certainly shorter than the other two webinars if you viewed the call to automatic call distribution part 1 and the live demonstration part 2. It was very difficult because obviously we're in lockdown and using those my desk phone, my mobile and that client, but I'm sure you've got a pretty good understanding of what the MyCalls console can do. I'd like to thank you for your time, and if you do have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact your NEC channel manager. My name is Mark Rudram. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon. Take care now. Have a great day. Bye bye.